I'm Kimberly from Fact Quarter Shop, and you know I love to bring shortcut quilts to you because they're free patterns and they're quick, easy, and they use pre-cuts. So today's Jelly Roll quilt is called Jelly Roll Relish. Super easy, super fun, great for beginners. So let's get started. Your first step is going to go to factquartershop.com and search Jelly Roll Relish and download your free pattern. Your first two pages are going to be for your lap size, and your third page is for your twin size. Completely free pattern. Twin would be great to make if you're wanting something quick for somebody going off to college who needs a twin size quilt. Now today we're going to be working with the large lap, which is the first two pages. For that you need a print jelly roll and a solid jelly roll. And I'm using Dandi Duo by Robin Pickens. It's got lots of pinks and limes. And I'm using the Bella Solid Color 98 jelly roll. Now, if you are at home and you just want to pick up a jelly roll from your stash and not have to buy anything, you could always just pick up a jelly roll and a background and then cut it down into what you need for this quilt. So don't be intimidated if you don't have a background jelly roll, because the purpose of these quilts is just to be quick, easy, and to grab from your stash. So let's get started on this really easy beginner quilt. So on the first page, you're going to see that we are making strip sets. And what's really cool is when we're making these strip sets, this is going to turn into the blocks that are used in the inside of the quilt. And it's also going to turn into the piano border that you have on the outside of the quilt. So super fun. Basically, you're going to take 3 print strips, and I'm trying to use different colors and different prints, and then 2 solid strips. You're going to sew those together. When I'm sewing strips together, what I like to do, you can see the little mountain peaks. I like to line those mountain peaks up so that they're lined up right on top of each other, and then the very edge of that peak is where you're going to put your foot. So your 1/4 inch will start on the outside peak right here, and you're just going to sew down each strip. Now on this quilt, it doesn't matter which way you press, but for me, I prefer to press towards the dark. And I'm going to show you what that strip set is going to look like once you sew it together. You're going to make a total of 10 Relish strip sets, and basically it's going to look just like this, and you can offset your strips if you want to, but we're going to cut this down. So you're going to start with 10 of these, and from each strip set we're going to cut 2 10.5 inch squares and 2 4.5 by 10.5 inch rectangles. Your 10.5 inch squares are going to be used for your blocks, and your 4.5 inch rectangles will be used for the piano border. I'm going to show you different ways you can cut. So the easiest way to cut a 10.5 inch square, you can just use a 10.5 inch square, line up the line on the rulers, and cut 2 sides. So there's one, and that's what you can do if you have a 10.5 inch square ruler. But if you don't, I'm going to show you what you can do to get that. You can add 2 rulers together, just like this. So you have this clean cut that you've already done on this side. So you have 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. So you're using this ruler plus this ruler. So the 6.5 plus the 4, I've got the 4 lined up. And you trim, and you don't have to buy any type of special ruler. So there's 2 10.5 inch squares. Then you need 2 4.5 inch. So you just take a ruler and you can either, since you're kind of in the middle, if you're worried about it being wavy in the middle, you could start back on the other side, which is what I usually do. Get a clean cut, rotate, and cut 2 4.5 inch rectangles. And then just as a tip, you have a lot left over. It's not enough to make a full block, but you do have a lot left over. You're not using this, but you could get creative and make something with this if you wanted to save it. Otherwise, you're going to discard it. And so you're going to end up with 20 rectangles and 20 squares. So now that we've made all of our blocks, you can see super easy. Now we're going to work on our quilt center, so we're on page 2. And if you look, your top 3 rows are the same, and your second and fourth row are the same. So I'm going to show you how to lay out each of them. The first row, you're going to have vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. Now, of course, you're gonna have a lot more mix of fabrics. These are just the blocks that I've made on screen, but you will in general have more of a mix. And in between those, you're gonna add fabric D rectangles, and that's gonna be your sashing. And what you would do is just pin both intersections, sew, and press toward your sashing. And so you're gonna make 3 of these, and that's row 1, 3, and 5. And then rows 2 and 4 will be reversed. And I'm gonna show you the quilt so you can see that. And what's great here is you can use a design wall and really lay out your entire quilt and just sew row by row so that you can see when you've got it on a design board, if you've got 2 similar fabrics next to each other and things like that. And I definitely recommend, even though this is an easy quilt, using a design wall will give you beautiful results with fabric placement. So you're gonna put your rows together, then you're gonna add your fabric F1s, which are your sashings. After your quilt center is complete, then you will add your inner borders using fabric F2 and your top and bottom borders using F3. Super easy. Now, if you're a beginner and you want to stop here, of course you completely can. So once you have your inner border and outer border added, we're going to work on our piano border. And basically, it's going to be just following this diagram right here. You're going to have a piano border, you're going to have a fabric E rectangle, another piano border, and then each of the sides has something different. So right here is where you're going to need to pay attention. So on all 4 corners, you'll need to pay attention. But on your side, you're basically going to be doing the same thing each time. And you're going to be alternating your piano rectangles and your fabric E and fabric B sashings. And again, this is what's great about having a design board, is to lay everything out and just sew one by one. And I do love the quilting on this. The pantograph is called Good Vibrations, and it's a really nice, soft, modern feel, and we spaced it out quite a bit so that it would just be nice, flowy, and we feel like the pantograph really matches the fabric. I hope you enjoyed this quick, easy quilt called Jelly Roll Relish. Make sure when you make your quilt, share it with us on Instagram and Facebook so we can see it. And you could also join Kimberly Stitch Squad in Facebook and share your quilt there. Make sure you subscribe and join me every Friday for my weekly live streams. See you there.